Hello and welcome to the Artful Ant art videos. Here's this beautiful garden I'm sitting in. Spring has arrived in Western Australia where I am. There's a pomegranate tree, beautiful flowers around, and I'll be using these to show you how to create imaginative spontaneity in your own work. My own work is primarily imaginative. It's colorful, it's positive. Primarily I do it because the spirit of creativity interests me really very much, and I'm interested in helping people nourish themselves in a soulful way. Art is a soulful activity, and I'm going to demonstrate, I'm going to put thoughts for the day on Instagram and have Buy Me a Coffee support as well, and YouTube videos like this one. So I hope to see you down the track, and I'm going inside now into my studio, and I'm going to do a little demonstration painting with pastels and with gouache, and I'll show you how to use a bit of inspiration from an image and then do your own thing. So let's go. So here we are. I've got some paper. It's thick cartridge. I've got some pastel colors that I've chosen from my trays. This is my working tray. I've got other trays which I'll show you at some point with my collection. And I've got a background yellow ochre, a bit of an earthy greeny color, a limey green, a bit of violet, and a bit of orange. And this is my inspiration. It's from a picture on Pinterest, lovely picture of poppies and a bit of cornflowers and stems, and I can look at that just to get an idea of the character of what inspires me, but I don't have to look at it again because it's my soul life that I want to express and not a direct copy of that. A photograph does it far better than I could do direct copy, but I'm going to create a picture then in response to that. So to start with, I'm going to have some fun, and this is there's no formula for this. As long as the colors in the background, as it were, are soft, because the colors of the poppies themselves and the grasses and so on are going to be stronger. So it doesn't really matter. And I'm just gently rubbing it with my hand to stain the paper, as it were. I'm not going to cover the whole page. The white becomes dynamic in that the white is now holding the color. The color is interacting with the white, and that creates a lovely contrast. This orange is a little bit strong, so I'm not going to use too much of that. If I use a lot of that, it's going to clash with the flowers themselves. Maybe a little bit of the green. The whole thing with this kind of work is not to think it through and not hold back. It's honestly got to be spontaneous looking. So in the making of it, be spontaneous. As you can see with the green and the violet, it starts becoming a little bit muddy. So at some point I'll have some videos up around color. So that's my ground. That's my ground color. And then I need to spray this. So I'm using fixative, artist fixative, but you could use if you don't have artist fixative, if you want, you can go to the pharmacy or the chemist and get some hairspray. It works equally as well. So I'm back. I've sprayed my picture. It is a lot more fixed than it was. The color's not really coming off. You can see not much color. Give it a good spray. And now I'm going to add bits of stalks, a bit of grass, a few flowers, and it's all to suggest. It's not detailed. It has a fresh freedom about it, which should give the impression of flowers and poppies in a field. Yeah. So the paints I'm using are artist gouache. This is Art Spectrum, Australian made. It is dense watercolor. You could call it poster paint. It is still water soluble, so when it dries, you can reconstitute it with water. I like it because it's dense or very watery. Here are the colors that I'm using. I've got vermilion, a yellow, some white, a lavender violet color. I've got ultramarine blue and viridian green, and I'm going to just show you. I've got some burnt umber. All right, so these are my colors, the range that I've got. I mean, you're going to need a vermilion color is very handy, a mid yellow, some white is handy. They're not that expensive. Or you've got some watercolors in a tray, which I could do as a demonstration as well. It's just that the watercolors over the pastel are a bit transparent, whereas these gouache paints, as you can see, are more a heavy sort of type of paint. So as you can see, my viridian is a bit watery. It's how it came out of the tube. The more dense paint is there. That's it there. It's like sticky honey kind of paint. There you go. So, all right. So then the brushes. Oh, I've just collected little brushes over so many years. All kinds of things. I've got my mug of water. I've got some tissue, toilet tissue. And I'm going to just start with the stalks. So the stalks, let's just start with a little bit of green. Thin brush. It's got a nice long quality to it. So that green might look a little bit too fresh. So I'm going to add a little bit of the brown with it. You've got to just get the right mixture of thickness of paint. Got to look spontaneous. This is the whole secret of this kind of way of working, is spontaneity. And for that, well, it takes a little bit of practice and courage and a bit of trial and error. Now, yeah, I think I need to put my flowers in right now. So the flowers, look for the gesture of the flower. The flower of a poppy has this beautiful upward gesture, you could say, of the actual petals, and that's important. So look how the gouache settles. It's quite sticky. I've done this with oil paint or with acrylic, but I think it looks beautiful the way it just takes on the paper like that. And look, I've used the same brush. Some of these petals could be a little bit, you know, not perfect. Don't look for perfect. As long as they've just got this, you can come back and work at things. It's not an issue. I'm going to use some artistic license and use a little bit of the yellow and the orange. Why not? Don't be a slave to the photograph unless you want to be a slave. In which case, this kind of way of working isn't really for you. Something else is required. At the end of the day, I've told students many a time, your initial inspiration is not going to be on view as such. It's going to be your painting that's on view. That's what you're showing. So change it. You can be the boss of how and choose how things get shown. So it must say poppies. All right, so now I'm going to bring some of the cornflowers in. So I'm just going to use a bit of white with the blue and put some of those in, for example. And look, they're just little dabs. They're just little dabs. I'm tempted to say they're little happy dabs, but it would sound like Bob. God bless Bob, wherever he is. He did a lot for encouraging people, so I'd like to acknowledge that. Some of these cornflowers here and there, little dips and dabs. And then we need a bit of, can into this orange I've created, create some interesting, more earthy greens. Yes? Bit of orange, a bit of that green. Look at that beautiful green here. Watch how this can... Now we need a few fronds. We need a few leaves. So it sort of breaks it breaks up. Not too many, otherwise it all just gets fussy. The whole idea is that it's not too overworked, this kind of picture. It's just a suggestion. Like some of the traffic codes around the world, it's just a suggestion. Not too fussy. And there we've got and we could have a few poppies that are still, you see that? You've got the buds. Poppy buds are beautiful. So it's filling up now, and I've got to be careful that it's not too busy. So there's just enough. You see I've angled the grasses a little bit. The thing is not to make it look regimented. Okay, in some of these here I'm going to put a little spot of yellow like that. And I'll bring a bit of yellow into some of these grasses, a little bit of a yellow stain. Yeah, that's enough. See, I don't want to keep going here. I just felt like it, and it is a feeling thing. It's like a sensing. And I'm also feeling a little bit of, I don't know, a bit of sun or a bit of sunlight there in the sky. A bit of something like that. This one here needs it. Yeah, maybe a little bit more definition. Bit of red down the bottom there. And there is a happy, and if it brings joy to your life and your day, then that's all that matters. The rest is just by the by. There we are. It's like cooking. Bit of this, bit of that, and voila.